Okay, good morning everyone. Good morning, how are we all doing? I've just spilt some of my tea on the table. Can you all hear me okay? Excellent, everyone's already in the house. We've got Scuba Pete, George Aitken, Jodie's here, Blue Harvest Vintage and Kenny. Bear with me guys because I'm using new software today. This is the first stream, excuse me, the first stream in HD. Morning Tim, good to see you mate. Chris Miwa, Alan Dawson, Adam Hurt, That American Kid, Dave Song. I just received your email, mate, but I didn't have a chance to respond. I'll get back to you as soon as I'm done. Very, very happy with what you've done, Dave. Excellent. Audio's good. Yeah, so guys, I have got a new setup. I've been wanting to do the live streams for a while now in HD. What I'm doing this morning, I'm running the stream through a what do you? My brain doesn't work in the morning. I'm running the stream through OBS, which is some streaming software, and I've hooked it up to a 1080p webcam, and I've got my Yeti microphone for a bit of better sound. I used to just run them through my iPhone, and I could only get them at 720p. So hopefully this all looks a bit better, and I have plans to even improve it beyond this. I want to get to a stage where I can actually have two cameras set up and I can switch between the two and show you guys close-ups. I've purchased some new equipment and it's on the way. So George Aitken says, well done on reaching 21,000 subscribers. Thanks, George. Yeah, I actually I woke up yesterday morning with the channel had reached 20 subscribers, and I don't even think I made a post about it. It happened so quickly after 20,000, it kind of just sort of went past. So John Kenny says, the computer's plugged in, Tony, then you have the power. Yeah, I do. AWM 1985 says autofocus on. Blue Harvest Vintage Toys says OBS is so complicated. Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. If anyone can recommend a more user-friendly bit of software, let me know. It's sharper, but there's a bit of a lag. Yeah, maybe. So yeah, bear with me, guys. If this doesn't work, please send me some feedback, and I will let you know how it goes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to close down a few of the other programs on the computer and see if that improves anything from my end. Certainly not the internet. It's telling me that we've got an excellent connection here. So Keith Holmesley says you need a Masters of the Universe coffee mug. Well, I'm drinking tea. I'm drinking proper strong Yorkshire tea. But I've only got 2 cups that I use. I've got my Star Wars cup that actually came with an Easter egg a couple of years ago. And the other cup I've got is a WWE cup. But it actually looks a bit odd because there's all these pictures of like John Cena and stuff like that. So, okay, great question from George. We're going to start with George's question here. What do you think was the secret of Mo2's success? Well, for me, I was introduced to Masters of the Universe toys before I was introduced to the cartoon. And I think that the secret of its success was really tapping into something that we hadn't really had in action figure form when we were kids, and that was a barbarian fantasy styled concept. You know, I probably shouldn't have been watching movies like that at the time, but I was watching. I don't think I'd seen Conan the Barbarian, but I'd seen things like Hawk the Slayer and all those cheesy 80s sword and sorcery type movies, and this was the only sort of toy line that really encapsulated that. Yeah, just a pure fantasy world, I think, you know, with Castle Grayskull and the planet Eternia. So George Aitkins, there's some sound, there's some lag with the picture, but the sound is fine. Yeah, guys, as I said, I'm getting used to this. I'll see what it looks like at the end. If it doesn't work out, we may go back to the phone for the next one. But anyway, who else have we got here? Chris Mira, Keith Holmesley. I'd put some Fosters in that mug. Yeah, I don't drink Fosters. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll drink it. What was it you just said up there, Jody? Also, make sure the software uses the proper GPU and hardware acceleration. I have no idea what that means, Jody. You messaged me afterwards. Michael Schaefer says it looks and sounds good on his end. That's great. Dave Song's asking me, and Dave's Song is Resolute123 in the chat for those who don't know. Tony, what was your first Motu? To be honest, I don't remember. I remember getting a lot of the toys. I don't remember what was the first, but I got into Masters of the Universe in the very first wave, and I had everything from 1982, which I did a collector's guide to that recently. So I definitely had He-Man, Skeletor. I would say that He-Man was probably the first Motu figure I had. Damien Vesti, thank you very much for the super chat, man. I don't recognise your name. If you're new here, welcome aboard. Thank you for the super chat. He says, for all the Action Man documentaries, excellent work. Thank you very much. That documentary was an absolute labour of love for me. It took more than 2 years to produce that almost 3 years. From the initial script writing, researching stage into the editing, and then a long process of battling with Hasbro trying to get it released. Okay, I've just got your message there, Jody. Thanks very much. Blue Harvest How to Collect Toys. Have you changed the name? No, nobody drinks Fosters. That's right. Yeah, I did some trials with the OBS software yesterday, trying to make sure everything would work. That's how, for those of you who are on Patreon, or maybe you've noticed on Facebook, I posted a link to this, and then when I was running the trials, I accidentally deleted the original link, so I had to post a new link for this stream. Stratos came in 2 variants, Blue Wings and Red Wings, yeah, and I have the Blue Wing version of Stratos. His one strap on one of his wings is broken, so I need to get a replacement or get it fixed somehow. Never really figured out a way to fix it properly though. Kind of having a max headroom effect with the vid. Sound and sharpness is excellent. All right. Seems like we're having some issues with the video stream. Yeah, Jody, I've got Facebook closed. All I've got open is YouTube. That's it. YouTube and OBS. I've got nothing. I've even closed my mail and everything. I adjusted the bit rate yesterday to try and get it right, but I think we just need to press on with the live stream as is, and I'll try and fix this for next time. I don't think there's anything I can change midstream. Sean Bailey, what is your opinion of the battle damaged He-Man figures? I quite like the battle damaged He-Man figures. Obviously, the mechanism was already, I don't know if it was patented by Mattel, but they used it for their Crack Ups line of toy cars. Took the mechanism and put it into the battle armor He-Man and Skeletor. That's probably one of the coolest play feature gimmicks in any of the Masters of the Universe figures. I think is the like the battle damage in the chest. The one thing I didn't like about it was that He-Man came with 2 less accessories. They dropped the shield. I don't know why. And obviously he's had to remove his chest armor because he had this new feature in his chest. That's one of the things with the Masters of the Universe line. As they kind of went along, if you look at the early series figures, like from the first 2 years, like my favourite here, Trapjaw, he comes with 4 accessories. He's got his 3 different attachments plus his belt. Skeletor comes with 4 accessories. He's got his Havoc Staff, his sword, his chest armor, and then his waist armor. As the line went along, they seemed to get more and more focused on action feature gimmicks, and every time they introduced more gimmicks, the accessories got fewer and fewer. Retro Blasting, thank you very much for the super chat. Stridor, he's gloriously hilarious for some reason. I've always chuckled over the years at him. Yeah, and if anyone hasn't seen the Stridor video on Retro Blasting, you've got to check it out. It's absolutely brilliant. Jody, thank you for the super chat, for your efforts trying to make the streams even better and dealing with complicated software. Yeah, I even really struggled to download OBS yesterday because my Mac OS software is 10.12. I can't upgrade the software on my Mac because it then no longer supports the version of Final Cut Pro that I use. I don't use Final Cut Pro X. I use an older version of Final Cut. I can't upgrade it, and the new version of OBS wants you to have a newer operating system. So, yeah, I really struggled to get an older version of OBS, but I eventually got there. I spent all afternoon yesterday trying to figure this out. DTM Collectibles. Hi, Tony. Enjoy your informative videos and passion for what you collect. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Timothy Ward, Death from the Haunches. Yeah, let's take a look at Stridor. A mechanical statue because the legs don't move. I'm missing obviously sorry, I bumped the microphone there. I'm obviously missing a bit of helmet armor there, but Stridor might be gloriously hilarious, but so's Fisto. What a name. Retro Blaster says, come to Adobe Premiere, we have cake. Yeah, I think I need to make the transition soon. Scuba Pete, thank you for the super chat. He says, is my Man-at-Arms the red dot or the orange version? No, mine is not the red dot version, not the first issue. Well, that Scuba Pete's talking about, does he have small red dots on his helmet? That indicates a first issue Man-at-Arms. No, mine doesn't have that. While we got Retro Blasting in the chat, because I'm not sure if they're here for the whole thing, I just started watching their new Bespin Luke video. I couldn't get all the way through because of the live stream. I'm going to go watch the rest of it. For those of you who aren't patrons of Retro Blasting, you really need to consider joining, because I'm like 10 minutes in. It's an absolutely awesome video. It's an epic video, and you can get it 24 hours early by signing up to their Patreon page. So, and if you're not on Patreon, that video should drop tomorrow for everyone else, but definitely check it out. Retro Blasting says that Orko was a Filmation creation. I thought, might be wrong about that. I think you might be right there, Retro Blasting. I do believe that Orko, if Orko wasn't a Filmation invention, they certainly had some input into his design, because I think originally he was going to have a different letter on his chest, and they decided that way they could flip the images and nothing would look out of place. And Retro Blast is saying that Analog Toys is in the Bespin Luke video, and I couldn't be happy that Tony took the time. I was more than happy to, Michael. I haven't got to that bit yet. As, I'm about 5 or 10 minutes in, but then I had to jump on the stream. So, and Scuba Pete is saying the same thing. So, yeah, I think we'll all be rushing off after this live stream to watch the rest of that video. 3. Is there a Wonder Bread He-Man in your collection? No, I don't have Wonder Bread He-Man. I don't have any real desire to fork out that kind of money for a collectible like that. I've often been tempted to take a Fisto figure and turn him into a Wonder Bread He-Man. And if you want to learn how to do that, there's an excellent video over on Toypaloy. And you know, where you can make a custom one, and the reason he uses Fisto for it is because he's already got the dark brown, what do we call it, a cod piece. Yeah, that is just bizarre. Anyway. That American Kid says, Analog Toys, have you ever been sponsored by the likes of Hasbro or Kenner or Palitoy? No, Palitoy closed up in the mid-80s before I started Analog Toys. Kenner finished up sometime in the 90s before I started Analog Toys. And I have absolutely no desire to work with Hasbro. They were a nightmare to deal with when I was trying to get my Story of Action Man documentary released. So... man. Retro Blasting says, nice to see the silver bracelets are still on that Ram Man. They're not original. I've touched him up, and as a matter of fact, again, going back to Toypaloy, the handle, I don't know how well you guys can see that, the handle on the axe was broken, so I used the Toypaloy technique of a bit of Lego to repair it. Did some paint touch-ups. That was actually a pretty battered and broken Ram Man originally, but it's now fixed up. Timothy Ward, I only have one Motu figure, a dog chewed hero. At least I hope it was dog chewed. Yeah, I hope it was dog chewed as well. Keith Holmesley made a custom Wonder about 6 years ago. Keith, send me a picture. I'd like to see that. I'm on the Facebook page if you don't mind. Gonzalo says, are you going to do an Analog Toys Instagram? Greetings from Argentina. Toys Instagram. I started Twitter when I started the channel, and I still to this day don't even really understand what Twitter's all about, what it's for, and I stopped using it a long time ago. Instagram, my son tells me I'm too old for Instagram. He actually thinks that people over 40 are not allowed to have Instagram accounts. Yeah, I probably should. Yes, George, the Skeletor and He-Man molds were used so many times. Yeah, much like, I suppose, beforehand, a lot of the body parts were reused. I mean, Prince Adam is just a repainted He-Man. Obviously, this here is the biggest con job. We're just going to make He-Man blue, give him Skeletor's armour, turn his sword orange, and make you buy another figure. Faker. I always quite like... One of the reasons I like Faker, if you've seen any of my Masters of the Universe videos, I think in a couple of the videos I show a photo of me on Christmas morning with Castle Grayskull. And one of the reasons I like Faker is he's sitting in one of the top towers in that photo. So I obviously got him that Christmas as well as Castle Grayskull. Yeah, Jody, Facebook is closed, mate. All I've got open is YouTube and OBS. George Aitkins says, are you and Retro Blasting going to do a joint video on Z-Force? Possibly. Quite possibly. I would like Michael to chime in with his thoughts about the Z-Force ATC. And we have organised the last few pieces that he needs to complete that. So at the moment it's travelling around in international transit somewhere. JC Barron says Twitter is an argument club. Yeah, I thought so, and I just couldn't get my head around the purpose of it, so I left. Well, I didn't leave. I just stopped using it. You can still find Analog Toys on there, and we haven't posted anything in like a year and a half, I think. Yeah, good call there, Jody. So Jody's saying Analog Toys is complaining about Faker just being a recolor, yet having a collection of Action Force and G.I. Joes. Certainly Action Force, where all the figures are just recolored. He's just kidding. Yeah, and look, I wasn't complaining about Faker. I just do think it's a bit of a con job by Mattel. But I loved it when I was a kid, you know, because it was a great idea. It was like the concept of the character, I think, was a good idea. Well, that's how Mattel were able to get away with it. I think you can, Retro Blasting, I think you can talk for more than 40 seconds about the 80s. Just quickly, while we are talking about Action Force, hopefully this doesn't go completely wrong. Trying to learn OBS software yesterday. Up there. I recently acquired a complete Z-Force command center, absolutely complete. I've now got an incomplete one and a complete boxed one. So I just wanted to share that picture with you guys. Look at that, getting all fancy in the live stream. I hope that worked all right. George Aitken says, did Motu do weapon packs? They did one, which were a lot like Action Force. You could get a lot of these pieces of armour and weaponry all recoloured. As a matter of fact, a lot of Beastman's armour in the weapons pack. And it was recoloured to be yellow, so the arm plate, I think the chest plate and everything from Beastman you could get in the weapons pack, and it was yellow. Yes, the getting a good response to the Z-Force Command Center. I'll just pop that up on the screen again. Yeah, so this turned up in the post yesterday. Well, actually, it didn't come via post. It came via courier, which is how it was able to get here in a short space of time from the UK. I seem at the moment to be getting mail from the UK a lot quicker than I am getting mail from the States. I sent a fan of the channel very kindly donated a Gaucho figure. For those of you who don't know who Gaucho is, he comes with this set. And it is a UK recolor of Gung Ho. It also comes with a UK recolor of Stalker, which I haven't got yet. But yeah, a fan of the channel sent me a recolored Gaucho, but he'd broken thumbs. He was quite discoloured, and I've got a friend in the States who's a fan of this channel and a fellow patron, who's really good at repairing this stuff. So I sent that to him express post in the middle of March, and it only arrived last week. It took like 2.5 months to get to the States due to all the coronavirus stuff. I don't know. I think they must have put it on a ship rather than a plane. So, there's a lot of stuff that I'm waiting for that still hasn't arrived. Unfortunately, I still haven't received a parcel from Retroblasting. It was supposed to be here first week of May. We're now in the last week of May. But never fear, everything is turning up. It's just taking a long, long time. I wonder if I turn the logo off, if it'll change anything with the picture. Let's see. I'm trying to get too fancy on my first go around here. Catch up with some comments. Patton says he loves the ROM video. Thank you very much. I really, really enjoyed that video. I was trialing a bit of a new format, and it seemed to be quite well received. I've got to turn the aircon on. It's getting hot in here. It's supposed to be coming into winter in my part of Australia. Really hot. So, Retroblasting, I'm telling you, man, it's not missing. It just some of the stuff I've been purchasing from eBay from the US and the UK. It can arrive in Australia within, sort of 1 to 2 weeks, and if it comes into the capital city of Western Australia, if it comes to Perth, it doesn't take too long to get here. But a lot of international stuff from the States goes to Sydney because all of our internal borders are closed. Few flights, people are not allowed to fly internally in Australia. All of the state borders are closed. If something arrives in Sydney, it can then take 4 or 5 weeks to get from Sydney to here. So 2 weeks from America to Sydney, and then another 4 or 5 weeks to get from Sydney to Perth. It's crazy, but everything is turning up. Nothing is going missing. I've got a couple of bits of mail down here that I'm going to open later. George Aitken, send some Tim Tams with the figures for Michael. I will definitely be sending some Tim Tams. Ambrosia of the gods, as Michael calls it. That American Kid says, perhaps I could do an episode talking about the Fighting Yank versus Action Man G.I. Joe. I could, but I don't have a Fighting Yank, and I really don't like to do too many videos where the toy that I'm talking about. I have done it on occasion, but I don't like to. And as a matter of fact, I think the next video I'm going to make, which I started writing the script for yesterday, I don't really need any toys for. I'm doing a top 10 video, but what I'm doing is a top 10 video of the best retro properties to never get a decent toy line. When I say retro, I'm talking like 70s, 80s. I've got my top 10 in my head. I'm talking here movies, comics, cartoons. The top 10 best to never get a decent retro toy line. And I'm not talking about, take an example here. Actually, no, I'm not going to throw out an example, then you'll know some of my top 10. But I'm not talking about a movie or a cartoon in the 80s that then got decent toys in the 90s or the 2000s for collectors. I'm talking about at the time of release. So that's probably going to be the next top 10 video unless something else crops up. George Aitken suggested the best ship from toy ranges. Yeah, George, I think I'm going to do that for a live stream, not a individual video. I may do that as a video as well, a top 10. But your idea for the best 3 3/4 scaled vehicles will be a live stream topic, I think. George Aitken says Big Trouble in Little China. That's a good call. John Baldry's asking, Tony, what else Motu do you want? There's nothing really that I would, because when I was into Motu, it was in the first couple of years, and I've kind of got most of the stuff that I always wanted, which was the stuff that I had when I was a kid. When it comes to stuff I need, there was a number of pieces I needed to complete. I need to buy before I could do my collector's guide to 1983. I don't have it all now, but I have made a number of purchases, so pretty much everything I'm missing from 1983 should be in the mail now. The last Screech, so I had Zoar, the sort of He-Man's fighting Falcon. I needed Screech for Skeletor, and I just purchased that on eBay yesterday. Actually popped up here in Australia, nice and complete for like $28 US or something. So I was happy to get that. Scuba Pete's joking that Big Trouble in Little China is one of Melinda's favourites. Timothy Ward, V the miniseries. Yeah, they did do some toys for V the miniseries, but they weren't decent. Yeah, I hadn't thought about V. We'll see. I've already got my top 10 list though. Retro Blasting introduced me to the Ball Basher, says Matt Ludi. And speaking of the Ball Basher, the Bashosaurus, I have absolutely no idea why I have this or where I acquired it. It must have come in a lot of toys, but I don't have a lot of packaged Masters of the Universe stuff. I have the original box for Grayskull, which is in good condition. I have the original box for Snake Mountain, but that's in pretty bad condition. The ends there. Sorry, Jody. Apologies if I missed your super chat. Josh Cos Mark 1. Thank you, Jody. Yeah, I don't have a lot of packaged Master of the Universe stuff. The two boxes that I do have, as I said, are for the two play sets, but they are open boxes. For some reason, I have a sealed Bashosaurus. And I don't know where I acquired it. How come I ended up with it? But it's a pretty cool piece. It's in very good condition, the box. Obviously, I'll probably never make a video about this because I'm not going to break open the seal. But I do love the artwork on the Masters of the Universe packaging. Absolutely love the artwork. It was one of the things that really stood out to me when I was a kid, going into toy shops, was the artwork on Masters of the Universe packaging. I thought it was fantastic. Gary's Action Man channel says Street Hawk could have done with a toy line. Yeah, possibly it could have. So I think they did a Street Hawk toy, but I don't think it was that good. It wasn't a decent toy line anyway. George Aiken says it looks like something Scooby-Doo would drive. Yeah, I think so. Keith Holmesley, no, that's not a commemorative one from 2001. That is original. Barb Pogadin. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry, Barb. I'll just call you Barb. What was your first vintage toy? When I was a kid, the first toy I clearly remember having was the Aero Marine Search Team set from Fisher-Price Adventure People, which was a helicopter with a big hook that you could hang from underneath that carried a submarine. You could play with it at bath time because it had sunken treasure and an octopus, and it was just a brilliant, brilliant toy, and I would love to reacquire that one day. The Aero Marine Search Team set from Fisher-Price Adventure People. Sean Bailey says, who here spent hours just looking at the artwork on the back when they got the figures and vehicles? Yeah, I did. I think there's probably 3 toy lines that really artwork-wise in toy stores. Obviously, Action Man, I've got a real big thing, certainly for boxed figures, not so much the carded outfits. Jody, thank you for the super chat. Josh Cosmark too. I really like the artwork on the Action Man boxed figures, certainly what they called the Key Figure series, which was like the late 70s to early 80s. Those particular boxes really captivated my attention. Masters of the Universe, and then Action Force International Heroes, when it was basically the rebranded G.I. Joe by Hasbro. That artwork was just incredible. In fact, Christmas of 1987, I'd started collecting Action Force International Heroes through that year. Now it's too cold in here. Throughout 1987, I'd started collecting Action Force International Heroes. And then for Christmas, I got the Cobra Hydra foil. And of all the figures released that year, I got every single figure except for Storm Shadow. And I got a lot of them at Christmas. I have quite a big family in the UK, you know, lots of uncles and aunties. And they were all, and my family were really good. They must have all spoke to each other because no one gave me a duplicate figure, although I would not have been upset to Cobra Troopers, but there you go. But I got every single figure from the 1987 range except for Storm Shadow. And I clearly remember on Christmas morning that I had carefully opened the figure from the side of the bubble, kept all of the card back, and at the end of Christmas Day, when I'd finished playing, I put all the figures back into the card back and set them up on a display on my on the desk in my bedroom, because I wanted to recreate that that toy aisle appearance with all of the artwork. And I would have been 9 at the time, no 10. So if that's not a good indication that I was going to become a toy collector, then I don't know what is. The Hydra foil is the best bad guy boat. Yes, George. Although I've got to admit, I was upset because I would have preferred to have get the either the Cobra Rattler or the Killer Whale, and I wanted the Mauler tank, and I never had any of those when I was a kid. AWM 1985 is asking Retro Blasting when we'll get to see the next instalment of In Orange Chairs. I don't know. Masterfar, thank you for the super chat with no question. $4.99. How's the picture going now, guys? Has it improved since I've removed the logo from up there, wasn't it? Has it got better since I removed that? Oh, Scuba Pete, thank you for the super chat. He's picked up Masterfar's missed question. What do you think about the vintage Fright Zone? Aside from a very creepy looking rubber sock, which, yeah, the actual playset, it's I don't consider Fright Zone a playset. I think it's a diorama to display your figures on. I didn't think it had enough play value to be really called a playset, and the whole sort of corner piece idea meant that you could put it on a shelf in your room, push it into the corner and display. Yeah, it's not up there with Castle Grayskull for me, and I'm not a huge fan of Snake Mountain. I think Snake Mountain kind of looks good, but functionality-wise is just terrible. George Aitken has a couple of killer whales. I'm not surprised, mate. The Knight of Ren says the most underrated Motu figure. Well, I don't know, because most underrated. Maybe this guy. Maybe Manny Faces. I thought this was a pretty cool concept for a play feature with faces. Kind of like the robot one. Maybe this is the most underrated one. Adam Hurt says item in the Motu line. A Holy Grail item. No, there's not a lot out there that I really want to collect. Actually, yeah. I would like to get a King Randor. I suppose that would be my Holy Grail item for Master of the Universe. I would like to get a nice complete King Randor. Just because it's it's an interesting figure, I think. What Motu toy do you wish they made? I don't know. What Motu toy do I wish they had made? I'm trying to think of something from the mini comics that hadn't been made. But I let me put it this way: I wish that Mattel had have stuck a little bit closer to the mini comics and followed that mythology. Not that I'm a hater of the Masters of the Universe cartoon by any means. That was my favourite cartoon in the 80s, by the way. The Masters of the Universe cartoon. Mainly, or probably a close, probably neck with that and Dungeons and Dragons, I think, as a cartoon. But the main reason Masters of the Universe was my favourite cartoon was because we didn't get in the UK all the same cartoons that you guys got. I didn't get to see G.I. Joe in cartoon form until I was a teenager. So I didn't get G.I. Joe, I didn't get the Rambo cartoon, which actually is not a great cartoon, but it was the most prominent cartoon that was aired on TV and was linked to a toy line. And it was just like, for several years, you know, when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, you'd come home from school and there'd be a Master of the Universe episode on. So I did love the cartoon, but I think the mythology in the action figure mini comics was far, far better. Bobby L. Collins says, did they make a sorceress in the original run? Yes, they did, but I think very, very late on. And it's quite a difficult figure to acquire. Boba Shoe says, Dean, some cancelled because it was too violent. I didn't know it was cancelled for being too violent, but yes, it was an awesome cartoon. One of the best cartoons of the 80s. Certainly that I grew up with anyway. Michael Schaefer says, anyone see the cape that Toy Polloi made for Evelyn? No, I haven't. I might have to check that video out. That'd be pretty cool. Neil Fairbrother says, did I like or watch Battle of the Planets? Yes, I did actually. Both. I watched it and I liked it. Battle of the Planets was awesome. Yeah, Sean Bailey saying Saturday mornings was all about cereal with a lot of sugar and cartoons. Yeah, I think in the States it was. I think for me in England, cartoons were more of an after-school ritual than a Saturday morning ritual. What I remember more from the 80s, Saturday mornings were when me and my sister would fight over the VHS recorder or the VHS player, arguing over who got to put their tape in, you know, and I'd be wanting to watch Star Wars or Empire or Flash Gordon or even First Blood a bit later on, and my sister would be wanting to watch Grease or Dirty Dancing or something like that. So Christopher Tippett says, do you want any of the He-Man classic action figures? No, I don't collect anything modern really, modern re-releases or anything like that. I'm more interested in reacquiring the Scareglow asked me if I like Scareglow. Yes, I'm going to say yes because you're asking me that, and I don't want to upset you. No, I do think Scareglow is pretty cool. What are your thoughts on the She-Ra line? Did you collect it? No, I didn't collect it, but my sister did. I always remember my sister, we're like about 18 months apart, and you know, growing up in a small house in England, being so similar in age, we would all constantly be fighting and bickering, and one of the things we mainly used to fight over was the Bo action figure, because she had it as part of the She-Ra line, and I would always try and steal become an extra character in my He-Man adventures. So Keith Holmesley says, Tony, do you know of that junk man? Yes, I'm aware of that junk man. Is there a reason you're asking me, Keith? Chris Meaver says, Tony, did you watch Fun Factory on Sky Channel while living in the UK? No, I'm not familiar with that show. When was that aired? And what was it about? Patton says, did I watch The Real Ghostbusters? No, I didn't. And I don't know if that's because I'm sure it was on TV in the UK. I'm sure it was because it was massively popular, but somehow it just missed my radar. I remember Transformers. I was not a huge fan of the cartoon. I much preferred the toys. I mean, I only had Optimus Prime and Megatron when I was a kid, and the Dinobot Slag. Thundercats was on, and I just couldn't get into it. I'm not a Thundercats fan, and that's one 80s toy line that I just have no desire to even collect a single accessory or figure from. Although The Real Ghostbusters I was more aware of the toys than I was the cartoon, and I now have one nice Real Ghostbusters figure. I've got a Peter Venkman. Although he's missing the ghost, but his proton pack and proton stream and everything is intact. Figure's nice, tight joints, nice paint, good logo on the shoulder and everything. I do remember those, and I did really want them when I was a kid, but for whatever reason, I was probably into something else at the time, like Action Force. Yeah, Hordak was part of the She-Ra line, I believe. Dave says, do you have a Ninja or late Motu figures? No. As I said, when I was a kid, I didn't really collect much beyond, I think, 1984. So I remember I had Fisto. This guy was one of my favourites as well, Jitsu. Actually, no, I don't think I had Fisto. I had Jitsu though, and he was one of my favourite characters. I did really like this guy, and Clawful. I also had Clawful as well. I thought he was pretty cool, and that's probably the year that I started to get out of Masters of the Universe, and hence when I became a collector later in life, I haven't sort of gone out of my way to reacquire any of the older stuff. That's still my favourite figure. Or I would like to complete Orko and get all the little yellow discs and the zip tie for him. All I've just got is the basic figure. I don't have any of the accessories. He's quite incomplete. But my Prince Adam is very nice. All original. I do remember having Prince Adam when I was a kid. George Aitken says Action Force is taking over the G.I. Joe shelves in Tony's collection. Yes, it is. G.I. Joe got moved out into the top of the staircase to accommodate Action Force. But now I'm running out of places for Action Force. I'm actually thinking about here. I might have to expand the collection down here into the studio and put I've got a small bit of space. I've got a big wardrobe, a big double door wardrobe that is auxiliary toy storage, and there's the door to the room. And there's a bit of gap between them. I'm thinking about getting a big bookcase I can put there to start displaying more stuff. I have no idea where I'm going to display the Z-Force headquarters. It's so big. I don't know. It's probably as wide as this table, but it would hang off the front if I put it on this table. So. Michael Show, my Prince Adam is very nice. That sounds dirty. Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Did you ever visit Hong Kong when it was part of the UK? I remember in the 80s visiting it, and I was amazed at the toys available at the time. I think some of these 80s toys were produced there. No, I've never been to Hong Kong. My dad's been several times. My dad was in the Merchant Navy before I was born, and I feel sorry for my dad. He had a number of overseas trips planned this year, which he's not been able to afford to do anything like that for a number of years. And one of the places he was going was Hong Kong, and then due to coronavirus, everything got cancelled. But as restrictions are starting to be rolled back here in Australia because we have very, very low numbers of positive cases here in Australia. It's looking like my dad is going to be able to visit me in July because we've had the trip planned for a while, and it's looking like that's going to be able to go ahead. So, yeah, Jody, downsize the wife's walk-in closet. Jody, I've got plenty of storage space. Like being in a 3-story house, on the ground floor, there's a huge storage area under the stairs. I've got boxes of stuff down there, but it's more display area rather than storage area that I'm struggling with. I like my toys out on display. I don't like them stored away. George Aitkins says, keep it in the box and put it on the top shelf. Probably have to do that at some point, but at the moment it's excuse me. And for the upper tier patrons, so the Toy Collector and Toy Addict tier patrons, I posted an unboxing of that Z-Force Command Center yesterday, and I kept saying to you guys that everyone would have to wait for Action Force Part 4 to see it. Action Force Part 4 is going to be the Q-Force. Part 5 will be the Z-Force, and that video is going to be epic because it's the biggest team in the range. So, Brian Dillingham, thank you very much for the super chat, man. He says, great channel. Appreciate that. Jody says, move your son under the stairs, Harry Potter style. Just kidding. Actually, don't give me ideas. I could potentially do that. I'd give him a camp cot and a PlayStation and he'd probably never come out from there. Tony, do you think that a Motu film in the style of Lord of the Rings would work? I think that's the only way it's going to work. I think a Masters of the Universe film really has to be taken seriously. I think they need to just do away with the whole idea of Prince Adam. I think a Masters of the Universe movie would work best if they went back to the original mini comic mythology, you know, battling for Castle Grayskull. But maybe that's just my personal preference, you know. That's why I'm not a Hollywood studio executive. Thank you, George. Appreciate that. The rest of the Q-Force is on its way. Nobody else remembers Dino Riders, though it was short-lived. It was a great line and a fun show. I remember the toy line. I don't remember the TV show. That American Kid says, Tony, do you have Savage He-Man? No, I don't. That American Kid, that's what the guys were asking me earlier about Wonder Bread He-Man. Savage He-Man and Wonder Bread He-Man is the same thing. Resolute 123, do you think the size of Motu figures are an ideal size compared to 12? Yeah, well, if you watch my recent video about the influence of the Star Wars scale, and I stated in that I don't have a favourite action figure scale. I think a toy line's success is often linked to its right choice of scale, and I believe that's why this line was so successful, was because it was the right choice of scale for the line. Did Thundercats try and cash in on the Motu range? Yeah, I think a little bit. I think a little bit there. What are your thoughts on the He-Man movie made with Dolph Lundgren? It's a bit of a guilty pleasure, you know. It has its moment in time. It's not a great movie, but it is a bit of a guilty pleasure. I probably couldn't watch it now, but I did watch it several times when I was younger. Yeah, Dolph Lundgren, that's it. So we've been going for 55 minutes. This time has flown by, and I've still got some mail to open. Is there anything else I need to pull out from here that I haven't shown you guys already? No. Okay. Going to move some stuff out of the way, and we'll get to opening some mail here. So what's everyone up to for the weekend? Social distancing and drinking like me? Grace went out with some friends last night and got really drunk. And I was trying to get some sleep ready for the live stream, and she decided it was going to be a good idea to come in really loudly and wake me up. So when I'm done with the live stream, I'm going to go wake her up. Yes, Master of the Universe was a good B-rated movie. I thought so. The Battle Ram here. I love the Battle Ram. This is a really cool toy. I really enjoyed this when I was a kid. Got some room here. Okay. First bit of mail. This is something I've purchased for myself. Actually, I was supposed to open in the last live stream where I talked about my favourite villains, and I got the parcels mixed up. Chris Me, we're watching Analog Toys, and tomorrow the Retrobusting live stream this weekend. Watch the Big Red One, Tony. Awesome movie. Thanks for the tip. Yes, the Big Red One reconstruction is awesome, and I'm going to try and get up early for the Retrobusting live stream. It's very, very early in the morning for me. If I get up, maybe I'll sort of try and catch the last half hour, but I always watch the replay of their live streams. That tends to be my typical Sunday morning routine. So, okay. For some reason, this comes in a bag with Tom Cruise, Jack Reacher advertisement on it. Interesting. All right, very carefully here. Okay, guys. We have ourselves Triclops. With the accessory, no less. Man, this is good condition. I'm happy with this. We got Triclops finally. So one of the figures missing from my 1983 line still has the unbroken sort of holster, or whatever you call it, for his sword. And not only that, the original mini comic still in the plastic wrapper. Very, very pleased with that. Picked that up locally in Australia. Cheap postage. I always like to get stuff in Australia whenever I can. So very happy with that one. Okay, this I believe is from Jodie. Yes, this is from Jodie, this one. This has taken a long time to get here, I believe. I don't know when you posted this, Jodie, but this took ages to arrive. What have we got in here? Ah, awesome, Jodie. We have the engine cover to Sergeant Slaughter's Triple T. I did a video about Sergeant Slaughter's Triple T a while ago, and Jodie noticed that the one in my collection was like a fan-made resin copy that was painted white. It didn't look correct, so that's brilliant. That's going to go straight onto my Triple T, and then it's not going to have this because the white really does stand out. So thank you very much, Jodie. Yes, wow, Jodie is everywhere. Was Triclops the figure you could look through? Nope. George Aitken, those comics are rare. Yes, they are. And in the original plastic wrapper, no less. It's a shame because I wanted to read it, but it's not coming out of the wrapper. Yeah. People are asking about Triclops. Now, a little bit like Manny Faces. He has 3 different eyes, and you could turn around and give him different looks. That's why it's called Triclops. 3 different eyes. The Triple T. Yeah, the Triple T. Sean Bailey now has an urge to watch 80s He-Man commercials on YouTube. Yeah. They did some pretty cool TV commercials for it. Okay, got one last box here. And again, this is an eBay purchase from the States. Okay. And once you guys see this, you might understand why I wanted to do a Masters of the Universe live stream. I thought it was a good topic, since in this box we have more Masters of the Universe stuff. We have sorry guys, I stopped talking for a moment. Yes, it's Point Dread. Let's see if we can get this all set up. Okay. I never had this when I was a kid. I don't think I've ever actually had one in my hands before, so I'm very interested to sort of see how this all goes together. So I know this bit can clip onto the top of Castle Grayskull if you so wish, but also it has this base here. You've got all the accessories. This should be complete apart from the what was there, like a read-along record that came with it or something. So we've got the radar. It's even got, which I know is always difficult to get, the original cardboard insert, which I believe sits inside here somehow. That's not gonna do that now. I'm gonna do that one later because I'm worried I'm gonna rip it or something. So we've got the wings. Okay. And there we have Point Dread. Man, that's pretty awesome. Needs a little bit of a clean, but that's to be expected with vintage toys. I'm used to that. I will be giving this a bit of a gentle clean. That's actually really cool. All right. So between Point Dread and Triclops, we are 2 steps closer to making our video, the Collector's Guide to Masters of the Universe 1983. Scuba Pete says, how are the cockpit stickers? They are really good, my man. I don't know if there's any missing. I'm not an expert on this toy, but... Oops. Retro Blasting, thank you very much. Did you check the tracking number? Is it anywhere around? It's probably been in Australia for weeks and weeks and weeks. Retro Blasting says, the eagle-shaped bathtub. Yeah, I never had this when I was a kid. I don't remember any friends that had this when I was a kid. But I'm pretty happy to acquire this. I got this at a pretty decent price. I was hunting around for one for ages. So I think, what else have I got on the way from Masters of the Universe? The attack track is in the post. Screech is in the post, and I believe a good friend is sending me in, and that's all I've got left before I can do Masters of the Universe Collector's Guide to 1983. So, Alan Dawson, what did you think of the Money Supermarket adverts for Skeletor and He-Man? They are what they are, mate. I don't know. Dave Song saying, where was this attached to Castle Grayskull? If you split this piece here, Dave, that comes off there. That actually clips onto the top turret of Castle Grayskull. I will show you in a future video. Cool. Retro Blasting says, your item departed a transfer airport in Sydney on May 29th at 9:09 AM. Oh, that's good, man. If it departed on May 29th, that means I should have it by the end of next week. So if it turns up, there'll be another live stream next weekend so I can open the parcel from Retro Blasting, because I've been dying to get that open. And I've got a parcel coming from George. I've got something coming from Scuba Pete. I've got stuff that I've bought myself. I've got a new camera tripod I'm waiting for. I mean, just a lot of stuff. Rich Hawkins says, hey everyone, hey Tony. Sorry Rich, we're almost at the end of the stream, my man, if you're only just joining us. Keith Holmesley says that Robert Remus, who is... that's Sergeant Slaughter's real life name, lives a few miles down the road from him in North Carolina. Cool. Have you ever met him? I'd like to go and have a few beers. I'd like to have a few Budweisers with Sergeant Slaughter. That'd be pretty cool. Jay Famous, thank you very much for the super chat. I had Point Dread. My parents pulled some real Christmas time subterfuge to hide it from me. Check to see if it has the little fire extinguisher sticker. Did they have fire extinguishers on Eternia? It does. It has the fire extinguisher sticker. Oh, wow. And a first aid kit and a battle axe and some spanners. Huh. Cool. This seemed agile to me. I can imagine this would have... Now, when I was looking around on eBay, a lot of them had broken claws, either wings missing or broken. I can't imagine this lasting very long in the hands of a young child. Not anywhere near as robust as something, say, the Battle Ram or some of the figures. But there you go. Exactly, yeah. They didn't need a fire extinguisher. They had snout spout, of course. um, Nate P513 says, the flocking on that Panther looks really clean. I want to get one, but it's hard to find one in that kind of shape. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's good enough, and I was lucky. I think I picked this up at a toy show for a pretty decent price. He's actually, yeah, he's only got a little bit of flocking missing off the nose. There's a bit off one of his haunches. Actually, yeah, the side that's facing camera looks a little bit better than the opposite side. There's a bit of a scuff here. But yeah, the flocking on this isn't too bad at all. It's got cat hair stuck to it though. Now I've got cat hair on my fingers. Alright guys, well, if anyone's got any more questions, because I'm going to wrap this up in a moment. Retro Blasting is sending me some whiskey money because of the lateness of the tracking number to you. It's my... Thank you very much, Michael. I will have a drink on you tonight. It was Grace's turn last night. Why they ever stopped making these toys is unbelievable. Yeah, fads come and go. You know, see, Master of the Universe didn't really last into the 90s, but obviously when it was relaunched through like Manny Collector and Super 7 and all those guys who've done it in the 2000s, it's become hugely popular again. So Axe to Grind, always great to find flocked figures that are decent. Found a tray of Muppets for 77 that were near perfect, kept for under the feet. So there's a lot of people, a lot of great Action Man collectors out there who have figured out how to do the electrostatic flocking for Action Man's head, and they can basically take off all the damaged flocking and re-flock it, make it look like new. Although I'm not sure if they can do that with Panther, because as I understand it, to get a bit, it's called an electrostatic flocking process, and I believe to get the flocking to stick on sort of perfectly upright, you need to put some kind of electrode inside Action Man's head. That looked horrible, didn't it? Sorry for doing that, guys, making that gesture. You needed to put like a dowel type electrode inside Action Man's head to get the flocking to stick on electrostatically. I don't see how you would do that with Panther unless you drilled a hole in his butt and stuck a big electrostatic probe up there. So maybe there isn't a way. I don't know how Mattel did it back in the day with the flocking, but yeah, maybe it'd be worth asking one of the Action Man guys who redoes the flocking for the heads. So Scuba Pete says, guys need to come to Louisville and we can hit the bourbon trail and toy stores. That's not a bad idea. I don't mind a drop of bourbon. Quite like Wild Turkey, as a matter of fact. I don't really go for the fancy ones. Jack Daniel's a Wild Turkey's good for me. Masterfar, thank you very much for a second super chat, man. Keep up the great work and stay safe. Yeah, thank you very much. I really need to get working on some more videos. Scuba Pete. Thank you for the super chat, Scuba Pete. Patton asks, isn't that the tiger from Big Jim? Yeah, the original mould was the tiger from the Big Jim line. I believe it was also used for a Tarzan figure from Mattel. So it's been used a number of times. Same one for Battle Cat and everything. So, but yeah, guys, I really need to sort of get back to working on a video. Completely out of the blue, I got offered a new position at work about 2 weeks, gratefully accepted, and I'm really enjoying the job actually. That's the second job change within the same business in 5 months. but it's kept me really, really busy of late. It's one of the reasons I probably didn't do a live stream last weekend. I needed to, I think, take a bit of a break. I've also been working a lot on thumbnails and not doing actual video production. But it's a holiday weekend here in Australia. It is, I think they call it WA Day, Western Australia Day, on Monday. So I don't work Fridays anyway. So I had yesterday off, I've got today off, tomorrow off, and Sunday off. Sorry, today off because it's Saturday for me. I've got Sunday off, I've got Monday off. And Grace is working Sunday and Monday, so that means Sunday and Monday when she's at work, I've got plenty of time to get videos made. So I'm going to get to work on top 10 video for the best retro properties to never get a decent toy line. But first of all, I'm not even going to pack up the live stream. I'm going to make another cup of proper strong Yorkshire tea, and I'm going to watch the rest of Retro Blasting's Best Spin Loop video. Gen X Toys Geek Jody, did the mouse droid find its home? It's found an intermediate home, Jody. So when I did the rearrange recently, and thank you for the super chat. When I did the rearrange recently, that some of the patrons would have seen, where I took all of the Star Wars boxes down from above the cabinets, and I actually got the toys out. I set up the Death Star and I put the B-Wing on a stand and everything like that. I had a lot of carded figures in those cabinets. I do have quite a lot, not a massive collection of carded Star Wars figures, but a decent enough, and then a lot of stuff from Stan Solar and Smith Lord Creations. So I was rearranging the cabinets, and I took a number of the carded figures out, and I put them on a shelf next to my computer desk in the clamshell covers, what they call them, star cases. So Joe, I put the carded figure next to some of those other vintage carded Star Wars, and it's sitting there at the moment. I actually can't bring myself to open it, so I think it might stay there. So literally, Jody, so when I'm sitting at my editing suite and I turn like that, one of the first things I see is the Death Star droid with the mouse droid. Kieran Ball says, congrats on the new job, Tony. Yeah, thank you very much. It was a real surprise, and it's not a step up, it's like a step sideways into a specialist role. So it's not a change in money or anything like that, but I'm really, really enjoying the job. And it turns out, which I didn't realise when I accepted the job, that part of it is producing content. And someone at work recorded a brief interview with one of our superintendents at work about, so I won't go into it. And they just recorded it on their phone. It was like a 6.5 minute video. And everyone was really excited with what this guy had said. And I said to him, I can fix that video up for you. You know, trim out a few of the ums and ahs that the guy does. And there was a person behind the camera asking questions. I said, I'll delete those and put some nice titles up. You know, I came home and I spent about 2 hours working on this video, brought it back in, and everyone was like, wow, you can do some editing. And because haven't told anyone I run a YouTube channel. So now I'm being asked to do a lot of video editing for them. And when I do, because I don't have all the software and all my stuff at work, they tell me to work from home. So I think it's going to be pretty good. Although I'd rather be editing videos for Analog Toys than for my day job. But the fact that I get to work from home from time to time, doing something that I enjoy. Keith Holmes, is the job less stressful? I've never really found my job stressful, man. Like being ex-military and spending 4.5 years in the private industry in Iraq, I've never really found a civilian job stressful. I'm very good at switching off when I leave work. It's very high-paced, this new job. There's a lot going on. It's a new concept. I've got a lot to learn. I'm one of the newest guys in this particular role, but I'm enjoying it. I'm excited about it. So. This working week has gone by so fast. It's one of the quickest working weeks I've had it in years. So, Jody's saying Analog Toys is meant to be opened. All right, Jody, once I finish watching the Best Spin Loop video, I'm going to open it up and I'll post a picture to Patreon of the mouse droid in the Death Star. Jody's asking, do I do freelance video edit work as my company's team suck at it? No, I don't, because I've never done any sort of training. I never went to film school. I've just been I've been a fan of cinema my entire life, not just watching movies, but I'm trying to understand how they were made and everything. And I'd wanted a video camera for a lot longer than when I first bought a video camera in 2007 in private security. It was the first time I got a video camera, and I immediately started working with Windows Movie Maker. Then I went on to something called Pinnacle Studio. Then I got a Mac and I started using iMovie, and then I moved on to an older version of Final Cut Pro. And I am self-taught, man, but I've been doing it for, I think I'm into my 14th year. And I think a lot of video production freelancers, I suppose they're people to have some sort of editing like qualification. I don't know. I, to be honest, don't have the time to do any freelance stuff between my day job and Analog Toys. If my day job want me to do some video editing for them, and I may my time, but do it in their time, and what I did on the last one was, where I normally start work at 6 o'clock. I said, look, I'm going to come in at 9 today and sit at home and edit this video for you from home. So, JFamous13 says, Tony, I know you say you're in Australia, but if Retro Blasting's critics have taught me anything, is that Australians don't exist. And that is 100% true, JFamous. I am a figment of Michael's imagination. It is AI software that was built by the Retro Blasting team to make every American fan assume that Australians are actually real. This is all digitally composited CGI, just out there in the YouTube space. I am not a real person. Jody, I'm also convinced he moved the video from the... Oh, yeah. So you're talking about when I jump in the car and the steering wheel's on the wrong side. No, it's not just Brent that didn't exist, Jody. It's any Australian who is associated with Retro Blasting is fictitious, and we don't really exist. My name is not Tony. This is not Analog Toys, and I'm going to sign off. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Make sure you tune into Retro Blasting's live stream tomorrow. If I don't get up early enough, I'll make sure that I catch the replay. But as I said, I've got to go and watch the Best Bin Luke video. I've got to get the mouse droid open and put in the Death Star. I've got to live stream and then finish the script for the top 10 retro properties to never get a decent toy line, and then I'll start filming that video tomorrow. So weekend, guys, and for the first time ever, I don't have to get up to turn off the live stream. I can do it right from here. All right. Thank you for watching, guys.